When a meteor from space crash lands on Earth, a group of scientists and military personnel surround the crash site to examine and research what foreign entity had just entered the Earth's atmosphere. They couldn't get too close to the meteor, however, as it emitted some kind of radiation. This was no ordinary radiation, though, as it seemed to bring life to anything it touched. Plants grew around it, and it even seemed to carry some life-giving energy. The head scientist in charge of researching the meteor was documenting it. She was introduced as Professor Stevens. In the middle of her research, some kind of flying craft arrived on the scene and took the stone away. Stevens was recording this at the time, and out of nowhere, a man tried to destroy her camera. However, she got in her jeep and tried to escape, which ended up in her vehicle getting destroyed and falling off the cliff. She was presumed dead by the organization that took her out, but she was, in fact, alive and well. She had woken up in a fancy mansion that belonged to Matt Trakker. This man was kept in high regard in the world, due to which even Stevens knew that only he could help her get the meteor back. After watching the documented video that Stevens still had, Matt realized that the organization that stole the meteor was Venom, vicious Evil Network of Mayhem. Once he knew what the threat was, Matt ordered his supercomputer to assemble a team of the most proficient soldiers to fight against Venom and get the meteor back. Here, we're introduced to the crime-fighting team known as M.A.S.K, Mobile Armored Strike Kommand. These people are a group of super soldiers who use a technology called M.A.S.K, which was developed by Matt Trakker, his brother Andy, and Miles Mayhem, the leader of Venom. Miles betrayed the Trakker brothers and stole half of the research to form Venom, which got Andy killed. The summoned team assembled at Boulder Hill, which was the HQ of M.A.S.K. Here, we're introduced to the other members: Bruce Sato, Dusty Hayes, Brad Turner, Hondo McLean, Buddy Hawks, and Alex Sector. After locating the stone using the supercomputer, Matt deploys his team of crime fighters to go and retrieve the stone. After arriving at the location, we learn that Venom has been doing its own research on the stone and had it split up into 3 parts, which somehow started emitting deathly radiation instead of its life-giving one. Miles had decided that he'd name these 3 stones the Death Stones and would sell them to the highest bidder, starting at $50 million each. The stones were being transported in 3 different trucks, so the team had to split up to intercept them all. Brad and Hondo had broken off from the team to go after one piece of the stone, but they got intercepted by Miles in his vehicle he called Switchblade. It was a helicopter that could make use of a lot of deadly weapons like lasers and missiles. Hondo's M.A.S.K vehicle was called the Firecracker, and here we see that Matt's son, Scott, and his robot T-Bob had gotten into the back of the vehicle and were now a target for Cliff Dagger, another member of Venom. Scott and T-Bob were thrown off the back after a missed collision with Bruce, and Dagger was put to sleep. However, Miles saw his chance and aimed a rocket directly towards Scott. Brad destroyed the missile, but the debris ended up badly wounding Hondo because he was using his own body to cover Scott. Scott felt bad for being the reason why Hondo got hurt, so he used T-Bob to follow Miles to the first buyer's location. Once Scott saw that Miles was distracted, he got into Switchblade carrying the stone and turned it on by mistake. The kid did not know how to fly the thing, and once the Venom members saw that it was about to crash, they jumped into the water. Scott let the aircraft crash, then took the briefcase carrying the stone with him, got into a Venom truck with T-Bob, and headed back to where his dad was. Meanwhile, Cliff Dagger was meeting up with another buyer at the airport and was about to hand the stone off to them, but Brad intercepted them by putting his motorbike into laser-guided mode and stopped the deal by going at Mach 1 speed. This was how M.A.S.K secured their first Death Stone. The second Death Stone was in the hands of Sly Rax, and he was making his way underwater in his submarine-type M.A.S.K to meet his buyer. Here, the M.A.S.K member Dusty gave chase in his vehicle, which he proudly called Gator. He converts it into a hydroplane and heads to the boat where the deal is about to be completed. Dusty uses his vehicle's freeze ray to freeze both Sly and the buyer in their tracks and effortlessly takes the briefcase from their clutches. Once the two pieces of the meteor arrived back at Boulder Hill, Matt was worried that Miles had already completed the first deal and that they had lost one piece of the stone. So he goes after Miles and takes him down with his Thunderhawk. Once he returns to HQ empty-handed, he's prepared to bear the burden of failure, and this is when Scott and T-Bob turn up carrying the final stone in their possession. Under the careful hands of Professor Stevens, the stone is reassembled into its original form and it starts emitting its life-giving energy again. Hondo is still badly wounded, so the stone is used to heal his injuries like they were never even there. Once the stone healed Hondo, it stopped emitting radiation and turned into a regular old stone. The show ends with a scene from the Venom headquarters and Miles cursing at the M.A.S.K members, vowing that next time Venom will turn out victorious.